So let's look at the base of our bag. For me, on this bag, I'm going to use faux leather. Because I'm using foam in the main bag, I'm going to also use foam on the base. I have already added my layer of Decaville Light. Cut the Decaville Light from the template, and it's a 3/8 of an inch smaller on all sides. So you need to position your Decaville centrally. I did this a little while ago because Decaville you need to press it on and then leave it half an hour to set. If you don't, then it will start to peel off and it's horrible, and there's nothing more irritating than having stuff coming off when you put it on. The only time I wouldn't use Decaville with faux leather is if you've got something, if you've got something that's quite heavily embossed or has got a real texture to it, because it will flatten out the texture when you press it. So I've decided I'm going to use foam as well. So I've got a lump of foam that's actually bigger than my base. Now, if you have something you can't put Decaville onto, you can actually adhere your Decaville onto the foam and then add the foam onto your bag. If you're going to do that, you want the Decaville to be between the exterior panel and the foam panel. So I always cut my foam a bit bigger because it's just a lot easier. So I'm just going to lay my base onto my foam, and I'm just going to base stitch around the outside. I'm base stitching on my longest stitch length, not back stitching. I am using red thread, but if you're not sure about base stitching, and all this base stitching will be removed, I would use a different colour thread, and I would use a brightly coloured thread so you can see which are your construction stitches and which are your basting stitches. Nothing worse than getting your seam ripper out to take your basting stitches out and then realise you've just removed the bottom out of your bag. I know it hurts, I've done it. So we're just going round the outside of the base using a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So that will be outside of our main seam allowance. These stitches will be removed later. This just secures our foam. I have cut my foam bigger because it's just a lot easier to stitch it in place and then to trim off the excess. So you have lots of options with this, and it really depends on what you're going to use fabric wise and what you want the final bag to look like. If you want something that's quite structured, then you will need foam. If you want something that's a bit slouchy, then you can either go with nothing or you can go with fusible fleece, depending on what your exterior fabric is. Even something as simple as faux leather, it's difficult to be really precise because faux leather differs so much in thickness and in kind of, you know, the strength of it. What you need to do is to make your quarter marks on here. Now, I'm just going to do that by folding. So I'm going to fold this in half, matching up the sides, and I'm going to use a pen to make the quarter marks, and then I'm going to fold it the other way, matching those two marks that I've just made. So I've just made two little marks, matching those two little marks. Or you can go and get the piece of paper, the template, which I could do, but you know, don't want to get up. So I've now got my quarter marks on my base, and that will be ready for when I install it into my bag.